It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Tim Reusche from Bradley University as a Director of Video and Creative Production. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you got started, of course, in athletics?
Yeah, so back to high school, my sophomore, really junior year of high school, I just started filming the football team for the most part. Big football fan then. And then as, the years progress, you start filming more and more sports. So you got volleyball, you got tennis. And then what really stuck with me was basketball, just learning all about, I guess, all the hard work that goes into it. And so I start just filming my high school team, and then from there it goes into like AAU basketball, so the travel basketball, and then I'm out filming college basketball, and then before you know it, I somehow find myself filming an NBA game. So that's really how it started, just all in high school.
Can you talk about your experience, of course, being the Director of Video Production at Bradley?
Yeah, it's been a fun time. It's one of those things where I guess I had the opportunity to make it what I want it to be, in a sense. Like, you had all these duties I had to do before, and I made sure I covered all that. Then as I did that, I made sure that I could implement in what I was trying to do. So whether it's growing the social media presence with us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, that kind of stuff, but also too just involving students as well, because just realizing the amount of resources I have here compared to others, you got to really learn how to make the most out of them and try to make something out of nothing, in a sense. And so I think I've been able to do that, and it's just been growing experience each and every year. And like I said, it's been a fun one.
What is some of the stuff you have to do as a Director of Video Production?
Yeah, so going back, I guess, to my experience and stuff, like, I really like doing the post-production end, so going out and shooting highlights with a camera. But then also I've been involved with the production side with like the broadcast. So like when I was in high school and mostly in college, I did like ESPN broadcasts a lot. And then when my first job out of college, I was at North Carolina Greensboro. I was a video production assistant there, and I was directing a lot of those ESPN broadcasts. And then now when I'm here, I'm directing not the ESPN broadcast, but what they call the in-house or in-venue side. So if you go to before all this happened, when you went to a game, you saw like the video board content that you saw, whether it's the intro video or just like fan engagement stuff. That's sort of my end that I'm involved with.
Can you talk a little bit about like how the fan engagement part you are involved in?
Yeah, so with that, it's more so like getting prompting the crowd to get on their feet, so to say, and that kind of stuff. And then also like the ads we have to run on what they call the LED tables. Like, if you ever see like the scores table while the players check in for basketball, or also with volleyball, near where like that bench is on the uh, out of bounds there near the stands, that big court, that's where, or that big table rather, that's a lot of the board stuff I'm responsible with, along with the video board stuff. And so it's just getting fans excited and all that stuff. And then also on the social media side, something I've tried to implement is doing hype videos, in a sense. And I've been getting great feedback over the past couple of weeks about what's been going on with our social media presence. So that's always great to hear. So it's fan engagement on the game day side, and then also online too. With the social presence with Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Can you talk about your time at UNCG as the video production
Yes, like I
assistant?
was talking about. Yeah, like I was talking about. That's where I was really directing, in a sense. So when I was in college, I was still figuring out what I wanted to do, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay on the broadcast side or on the post production side. And for the most part, I'm figuring out, I enjoy the post production side for the most part. But the experience I had at UNCG was really what sort of helped me get all the experience I didn't have in college in terms of being able to direct. Because the way it was set up with me from the educational standpoint is you had to work your way up in a sense, and I didn't really ask to do many positions. I just sort of stayed put as a camera operator. Then when I'm a video production assistant at UNCG, it's like I'm faculty, right? So, or not faculty, I'm staff. That's what it is, staff. So I'm helped with the video director at the time. I forgot what the official title was, but whoever my boss was, he would manage these students. And so in a sense, he would be like the producer, and then I would direct. So I did a lot of directing there. I think, it was over 55 events or something in the 10 months I was there working. So that was a fun experience. And also I had the experience to travel with some of the teams and shoot highlights. So that's always fun. And I guess the big highlight for me was when North Carolina Greensboro a few years ago upset North Carolina State in Raleigh. And that was cool to see, just because there's me in the locker room, and the video that made it on Sports Center later that night was actually the one our SID shot, the cell phone angle. So I didn't get my angle on, but hey, you could see me in the corner with the camera. So that was cool to see.
Can you talk about your time whenever you covered the Golden State Warriors?
It's crazy, Brandon. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I never thought it would get to that point. Like with now, they definitely, you know, favor the players to say and such, right? So he was this past year, and Jordan Poole out of Michigan. I stayed with him since his senior year of high school. I covered him 2 years when he was at college at Michigan, so that was cool. I got to go to Michigan games and film in baseline a couple times. And then I just reached out and I kept asking their media relations guy, when how can we make this work? And then he talked with Jordan, and Jordan gave him, the word that, I was good to do all this stuff and, do social media stuff for him. And then, before I know it, I'm out in California the day before the game. I'm covering practice with all the media. I didn't think it was real. And then the game happens. And there I am filming it. And that was, it was just a surreal moment, honestly. You just try to take in as much as you can. I stayed around basically until he kicked me out. So that was fun.
Can you talk about your time on covering the rookie camp at Charlotte Hornets?
So right before I was done living in North Carolina, with all that stuff, I guess. And, Hornets media people were good with me in a sense was Miles Bridges, because I didn't film in high school. I didn't film in college. But I did film him at this college NBA most of the times, like overseas players, stuff like that. But it was in Lane where Michigan State is. And so there's a whole bunch of fans in the crowd there. And then, I'm just filming every single game there because I never got to film Miles in high school. And I always wanted to do that just because, he's crazy athletic and his dunks are insane. And so I always tried to be as many games as possible he was at. And he just had all these, sick dunks and stuff. It was cool to see. And I talked to him after a couple times. So, he was pretty cool with me in a sense. And then I used that as a way to get into the Charlotte Hornets camp and just really just talk and see what's going on. I mean, I didn't really get much out of it, but again, it was just another opportunity to see what was going on, what that was like.
Can you talk about the process, of course, with being as a college videographer person, and of course growing up watching the players, from all 4 years? What is that process like from when they graduate to, of course, if they make it into the NBA, and let's say if they got to the Hornets or Golden State, what is that process like?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brandon. That's honestly what's been so fulfilling about staying here for so long, or for staying at this stop for multiple years, rather. Because I know North Carolina Greensboro, I was there for a year, but now here, coming on my third year, you're able to see all these players develop in a sense. I haven't had the opportunity yet to cover someone who makes it from college to pro from the college athletic standpoint. Whereas if I'm looking for the university, have someone make it that, but try to remain optimistic, and I think at some point I can see that happen. But nevertheless, just, I mean, you see these guys that are able to play professional ball, and it's just, having a dream come true with them in a sense. And again, just seeing how they develop not only their game throughout the years, but also how they grow as people. And you can see certain players really take leadership roles on as they mature through the years from freshman to junior and then eventually senior year. So I mean, that's just cool to see from my perspective, just how they mature in a sense and develop as players.
Can you talk about the video production side between on the college level of shooting at Bradley versus shooting like at Golden State or even the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, it's something else. I like that question a lot too, Brandon, because like the professional, I mean, it's like you're pro in a sense. Like, everybody is like technically is everybody's professional, here covering the sports and whatnot, but like the amount of media at an NBA game is just so much more compared to the college level, especially the mid-major in a sense. And like it's just something that it just feels so much more special um when you have the opportunity there. And even just like with March Madness, like that opportunity at the college level was crazy, just seeing the amount of media. I mean, that's really, I guess, the big difference I notice is the media in a sense. And I mean, and it makes sense. And it's obviously though humbling though in a sense, because humble beginnings in the sense you realize where you start out. And as hopefully in my sense progress up, you can see the amount of media it increases, and just like the amount of restrictions and stuff, and how just like more serious everything is, because there's obviously more money involved with TV deals and all that, but also with the big time athletes in a sense.
Can you talk about covering in the NCAA basketball tournament whenever Bradley was in it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had COVID hit last year, so that would have been my third year in a row somehow, because I was there when North Carolina Greensboro won the tournament. I was there, the video production assistant, and thankfully, I was able to come aboard and follow with them. But then that actually helped me a lot with the experience here. My first year when Bradley ended up winning the Missouri Valley Conference tournament title, qualifying for the NCAA tournament title. That just taught me like to, again, try to maximize the most out of that opportunity. So like, as I keep having these brief stints in the pros, so to say, like with the Golden State Warriors, you try to make the most about those opportunities. So then I try to take that down to where I'm at now, because sometimes you forget, because the day-to-day stuff and just like realizing you have the list of things to do, you sometimes forget about um just your passion in a sense, and see how far you can take something. And so with the NCAA tournament, I filmed basically as much as I could, when Bradley ended up going my first year here. And, I think we were able to get some pretty good content out of it, whether it was fan engagement stuff, which you alluded to earlier. We had a bunch of fans that were asking all their players for autographs. Now, most of them didn't know them, because a lot of them were there for like, we had Michigan State. We were in that side of the bracket who we ended up playing, but they were there for like Michigan State, Nevada, Michigan. But again, I mean, it was just like, we had that. And then of course I had highlights after the game, which was cool to see. We unfortunately ended up losing to Michigan State, but I mean, it was just a whole experience and everything just coming together, especially for that group of seniors we had.
Can you talk about, as a video production person, were you able to cover different teams like in the tournament wise that Bradley wasn't playing, or were you just covering Bradley University?
Yeah, I was just there to cover Bradley.
What was it like to experience other video production people from different universities?
Yeah, it's kind of cool, Brandon, because like in a sense, sometimes when you're at a very small department, in a sense, like you're not able to have the same conversation you are at other universities, like at the Power Five level, so to say, where like you have multiple people bouncing ideas off of each other. So just being able to see all kinds of people from all over, in a sense. I mean, I only got to meet the Michigan State person, since Bradley only played against Michigan State, but that was just, I guess, a good experience there. I didn't really have much of an opportunity to talk to them, but what I really have more opportunity in, I guess, is like when we have just away games, because like, again, everything is just so ratcheted up for these NCAA tournament games. Like I'm just like locked in trying to film as much as I can. I said what's up to the Michigan State guy. He said what's up to me. So we had made that connection. But for the most part, just because like there's not much time like for you to walk around in between games, so to say. Like they want people in and out at the NCAA level because like there's a next game. So then somebody's taking your seat and you can't just film on the side of the court. Like especially with the Turner broadcast deal with CBS, TNT, and all that stuff. Like you can't just have somebody messing around in a sense like you can at the lower levels. And that was actually I was able to do that at Michigan in a sense when I filmed Jordan Poole. Like all these like the Big Ten Network filmed the game, but it was like a smaller D1 team they played. And so I was able just to make a spot for me in a sense and from you away because I tried those games, they wouldn't let me do that.
Can you talk about the turnaround time and like what is your turnaround time for videos?
And just made my own sense. I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you talk about the turnaround time, like whenever it comes to the videos, like games, like on game day, like whenever you shoot the videos, what is your turnaround time like?
Oh man, I love this one too, Brandon, because everything comes full circle now. So like when I'm filming in high school, I don't know how familiar you are with like Ball is Life or Slam. Like they're big into filming high school stuff. And so like I would talk to those videographers and just learn the tricks of the trade and how fast they get stuff up. Like at the college level, for the most part, it's about like cinematic stuff and like editing, which is something, I really prefer. And then with like Ball is Life and Slam and like overtime, you just try to get stuff out as quick as possible. So with that, I've learned how to get stuff out like within 20 minutes. Like if I'm filming a high school game, I can do it within like 20 minutes, give or take like the Wi-Fi I'm using or whatever. But then I try to take that over to the college level because I don't want to make anything over a minute because like a minute is like a good length, give or take a few seconds. So I can put it right on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, it gets pretty good engagement. So with that, I mean, I would say probably like 45 minutes to an hour, just depending on, how locked in I am in a sense. Cause like I was talking about with the NCAA, how there's like no time in between games in a sense. So like, like before the game, I'll talk to people and all that, but like when the game's done, like I'm locked in, I'm going straight to my computer, editing, trying to get that out, as quick as possible. So, I'd say 45 minutes to an hour, probably, half an hour on a good day. Like if it's a home game here in Renaissance Coliseum where I am, where our women play for volleyball and basketball, I can get it in half an hour pretty easily.
Can you talk about, of course, like I know as a sports videographer myself, can you talk about shooting in college? What is like the turnaround? Like, for example, I know that some people have like where it's like per quarter and then they put it on their laptop during halftime. What is that like for you?
Like with Clemson football, they're big on that. I think getting, stuff done by like the quarter or something, right? But like with me, since again, I'm by myself in a sense, like sometimes I would try to do stuff at halftime, but most of the time I just dump all my footage at the end of the game. But if like there's like a big play going on or something, then obviously we just push to get that play out. Like, the past couple of years we've had one of our seniors last year, she had this great block on a player. And then, she took it for the layup coast to coast in a sense. So that was cool to see. So that's something, you try to put out right away, even before the game ends.
What advice would you give upcoming future college creators that are looking to get started into college, like creating?
Yeah, honestly, I guess I would don't be afraid to reach out to people in a sense, because like I know it's intimidating. I mean, even I do that too, to reach out to people, and you're not always going to get a response. Sometimes you can even just follow up in a sense, like respectfully, they say, right? Or whatever that amount of time may be, or a week or 2 weeks, it depends on the person, I guess. But I would just, don't be afraid to reach out to people in a sense and ask what they do and ask how they can get involved. In my sense, I would say specifically, like just try to film whatever you can. So like sometimes, like I had a student last year who she really wanted to do reporting. And unfortunately now she's not at Bradley anymore. She decided to transfer, doesn't want to report at all. But to practice, she literally just went out and did like man on the street interviews, so to say, at a mall. And that's how she, and she said she really didn't like that. She couldn't do that, but we tried to get her to stay with it, and she couldn't, she just didn't like it. So then with my perspective from the videographer, I just go out to high school games. Like high school games, for the most part, you can get in as long as you try to have some sort of like, I guess, professional reason, I guess, to be there in a sense. Like if you're in high school and you film your high school, like, yeah, you're going to be good doing that. But like if you're in college or about to graduate college, you try to find an outlet you can film for. Because the moment you mention an outlet or something, for the most part, a lot of these high school ADs are going to be good with you coming in because you're just there to promote their program in a sense. So I would say don't be afraid to do free work at first as well, because you can't get paid for something that you're not like proven that you know how to do.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Well, I try to make it easier for people to find me out there, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. It is at Tim Reusche. So my name on the bottom here, TIMREUSCHE. It's all one word when you search on social media.
Thank you again, Tim, for your interview, and best of luck at Bradley for the video production and creative director.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. It's going to be a great year, man. Don't forget to follow us, rather, at Bradley Athletics on Twitter as well. You guys will see a lot of my work there. But again, my personal Twitter, you'll see a lot more, hopefully Warriors content as well as, of course, Bradley content.
Thank you again, Tim, for your interview, and best of luck. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at @talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Tim, for your interview, and best of luck.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.